Hey everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of New Strength Sugar Babes. We've got a Kiwi here. We've got heaps of Kiwis in the program now. I feel like they're taking over. She obviously lives in New Zealand. She's got three stepkids. And how long have you been in the program now?
I think I'm coming up 10 months.
Yeah, I was going to say 9 months. Yeah, 10 months. Yeah, and Brodie's just done incredibly. And I'll let you tell your story actually. So, like, why did you join the program? Like, what were the issues that you were having, and what had you done in the past?
So I hit sort of rock bottom last year, about this time last year. I've spent probably a good 16 years absolutely flogging my body. I have tried.
How old are you?
29.
29, okay, cool. So you're one of our younger clients.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's as good that you're doing it now.
Yeah. Well, 16 years and I'm 29, so like I've been dieting longer, like over half my age.
Mm-hmm.
So I first started dieting when I was about 12 or 13, and I can't pinpoint exactly what triggered it, but I just went down that path of having to try to fit a certain way. I was always the big kid, so like when I was like 5, I looked like a 7 or 8 year old, so I was always a lot taller than all the other kids, and so my nickname school was, I think it was BFG, Big Friendly Giant, or Big Friendly Brodie. That was when I was at primary school, and sort of just, I was always more developed than everybody else. So then I got to the age of about 13, I was a swimmer, so I was always in togs, and seeing how some of the other girls looked, I think that probably made me a bit more aware of how I was bigger. So I started restricting when I was about 13, and exercise compulsion. So I'd go out for runs, and I managed to actually convince my parents to let me sign up to the gym. So I started going to the gym at 13. And one of the gyms you had to be 15 to go to, but the other one was done under, so like the guy actually set me up with a program and said, this is all you need to do. But of course I was doing extra on top of it. And that continued for probably about 9 months, and in that time I went from about, so at the age of 13 I was about 65 kilos, and I got down to about 52. So unreal, and luckily my parents picked up on what was going on and got me the help that I needed. So I was going in for weigh-ins at the doctors and that, and I guess them knowing kind of stopped me restricting. But then, of course, there was the effect that now that I know what sort of happens when you restrict, you then go into the binge mode, and that's when I then started dabbling in making myself purge. And then, of course, my parents found out about that. So I went down the sort of route of laxative abuse. So that was probably to about the age of 16, so about 2 or 3 years. And then luckily we moved from the town that I was in to Balclutha. So I got a bit of a fresh start and got started a new school, and I was able to sort of change my identity a wee bit, because people didn't know my history. And I lasted about 6 months at that school, and then bought my first house at 18, and moved out of home. And that's like I'd sort of come right in that time, and then that's when I guess the pressure of life and paying bills and working got a bit much, and I started sort of controlling what I was eating again, and the spiral continued. So I sort of went back into bulimia and every weight loss pill you could possibly think of. I tried, go to the chemist, and I'd just get anything that had anything to do with weight loss or fluid loss or just anything to reduce my weight I would take, and so I was putting a lot of crap into my body, and that lasted for a few years, and then the relationship that I was in ended, and I sort of, by that stage I had actually fluctuated probably to my highest weight that I'd been for a long time, and of course that separation kicked in again, so then I went through the whole restriction again. And so at this stage I was sort of going up and down in my weight, and once again I managed to drop my weight right down to about 65 kilos, which for me, I'm 172 tall, I think about the same height as you actually. For me that was really low weight, like that's bones sort of protruding and looking very gaunt and not very healthy. And so then I started on this real health kick, and I was doing like sort of for F45s like now, but like 7 or 8 years ago. So that would have been when I was about 21. So I was doing these sort of boot camp style classes in the mornings before work. And I did that for probably about 6 months and lost a heap of weight, and was also doing, I can't remember what it was called. It's called Mad Challenge, which was run by a couple of local guys, and it was getting young people involved. And I think it was only about 12 or 14 of us that got selected to do it, and it was ages from 13 to 24. And it was more of just like teaching us like life skills and fitness, and like even changing your car tires, and so it was quite good. But that was 3 mornings a week as well on top of it. So I was training 3 times a week doing that. Then I was doing 3 times a week at the Tribe Fit training, and then on top of that I was still going to the gym. So I'd finish my session there, and then I'd go straight to the gym. And at that stage I'd go on gluten free, because then I could cut. That was just another way to cut a whole heap of food groups out by saying that I was gluten free. And then I went lactose free as well, so that cut out dairy and milk. So I was literally living on like muesli, blueberries, salads, chicken and salad, like barely anything, probably 1,000 calories a day. Dropped weight again, looked really good, I felt like shit, but I felt good. I was skinny, if that makes sense. So like you put on this fake act to everyone, and everyone's going, oh, you're looking so good, you've lost all this weight, but inside you're absolutely exhausted. Yeah, and you're just putting on this complete act the whole time. So that sort of actually, I was sort of forced to stop, because I started a new job in May 2012 at a bank, and I'd only been there for about 2 weeks, and I was doing these morning trainings. I'd stopped one of the group trainings by that stage, and we'd done a fitness test or something that morning to see how our fitness had increased in that time. So I'd pushed myself really hard, and it wasn't uncommon for me to vomit after exercise or like get that. And so straight after this training, I improved my time by about 4 minutes, and I was quite stoked with myself. And I got home and had a shower, and I was really shaky and having heart palpitations and felt really unwell. And I thought, oh, it'll pass. It's just obviously I've just pushed my body a wee bit hard. So I went to work, and the feeling didn't go, and like I was starting to get quite panicky with what was going on. So I said to my boss at the time about it, and she said, look, get down to the doctor straight away. And got down there, and they did an ECG, and it actually turned out that I had a heart condition that I'd been pushing myself for all these years because I could never get my heart rate up. So I would only ever get to sort of like doing sprints would be maybe 90 beats a minute, but my resting heart rate was only 27 to 35 beats a minute when I was sleeping. Yeah, so I was only getting very minimal amount of oxygen. Yeah, so like I just couldn't get my heart rate up. So of course I was always tired, and that was contributing to everything. So yeah, so within a week I had a pacemaker inserted to correct the heart condition. So that was in May 2012. And it's still, my body still hasn't adjusted to it, because for so long it was doing one thing, and now it's got to train itself to do it completely different. And of course 6 weeks after getting the pacemaker, and I'm like, okay, I've got to get back into exercise and start playing netball again. And that was a year of ups and downs, because not many people my age get pacemakers, so they don't set them quite right. So like they couldn't get the settings right, so I kept on like flaking out, because what was happening, as soon as my heart got to a certain point, it was splitting my heart rate in half, because it would get to its max rate. Because they're used to old people that aren't going to go to the gym and aren't going to play netball and aren't going to go for a run. So that took about a year for them to actually get the settings off the pacemaker set right for my body. So I gained quite a bit of weight in that year, because then I created like this paranoia, almost like a PTSD from getting the pacemaker. I was so scared that it wasn't going to work and my heart was going to stop. So yeah, that took quite some time. And then can't actually remember that. I sort of went through this sort of lull patch for a while, and I just completely avoided exercise and ate whatever I wanted, and of course the weight crept back up. And then I met my partner, who's my husband now, and I just quit my job at the bank and got a new job. And so I was working like sort of 60, 70 hours a week in this new job. And of course, that was an opportunity for me to restrict food again because I was working 12, 14 hours a day, and then I was in a new relationship. So I was obviously high on that, and I just forgot to eat and didn't eat. So then I dropped a whole heap of weight again then. And I also at that stage had the marina inserted. It was about 18 months before I met my husband. And then I actually was getting off the couch one day and felt this horrendous pain in my abdomen and thought that was a bit strange. And then for 3 months straight after that, I got bleeding, and they just couldn't seem to get this marina out. And to stop the bleeding, they pumped me with, I think I had 3 depot injections to try and stop the bleeding. So the amount of that going through my system in one go, because I had one week, and then 2 weeks later the bleeding started again, so they did it again, gave me another one, and then I finally got through to my gynecologist to get the marina actually removed, and it must have sort of shifted in my uterus and just was causing the bleeding, and so we got that removed and got another shot of the depot injection just to stop the bleeding, and that did stop it, but then about 2 or 3 months later I got like just this horrible extreme fatigue. And went to the doctors and did blood tests, and they found that I had thyroid antibodies, or Hashimoto's thyroiditis.
Geez, you really fucked yourself, didn't you? Royally, like you've done everything.
Yeah.
Holy
So then they pretty much just turned around and said to me, well, you can't do anything about it. You've just got to wait for it to destroy your thyroid, and then we'll just put you on thyroxine for the rest of your life. You'll just have to take a pill each day, is what they told me. And I was like, are you fucking serious? So I was pretty traumatized at this stage, but then I used that as an excuse for about a year before I actually took action and did anything. So by that stage, I'd got up to about 86 kilos. For me, that was the biggest I'd ever been in my whole entire life. And so I signed up to this thing called Pedal for Hope, which a local guy ran, and it was his wife, and I think in the family there was prostate and breast cancer. So he came up with this idea called Pedal for Hope, that you pedal on the bike for 12 hours, and you would pay, like you sponsored a bike, and like you got like your workplace, you might have had 10 people in your workplace, so each person could like cycle for an hour or something, and you raise money for it. And no one else in our business wanted to do it, so I thought, oh stuff it, I'll do the 6 hours by myself. And so I went along and did it, and it wasn't until I got the photos, my dad had taken some photos of me, and that's when I saw how big I'd actually got. I thought, I'm going to have to seriously do something about this. So that was 2015, so I would have been 25 then. And I found a product called Way Less with Jess. I don't know if you've heard of it. It
sounds bad. It sounds bad.
Yeah, and so this is probably what kind of like topped my metabolism.
The straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah, or maybe the second last thing. But it is a pill you take. So you, for 3 days, you take it while eating normal, while eating a lot of fat. So apparently it binds to fat and goes to your fat cells, and it attacks your fat cells, and it tells them to like get rid of the fat. So it's absolutely horrendous now that I think about it. And then you go, so after those 3 days of like loading, I think they call it, you then can go up to 50 days of phase 2, which is restricting. So you can either restrict down to 500 calories a day, 800 calories. So I did the 500 calories. So I ate an apple for breakfast. I had an apple for morning tea. I had like lettuce and chicken. You're allowed 100 grams of chicken and lettuce. And then afternoon, you're allowed celery sticks. And then dinner was chicken and lettuce again, pretty much. And I did that for 44 days and lost 10 kilos. And the first week I lost 4.5 kilos, but it would have just been probably water weight anyway. And then, so I yo-yoed on that. So then you've got to do a maintenance phase where you've got to increase your calories up to like 1,200. And that's maintenance, apparently, is 1,200 calories. And then you'd have to do that for a period of time. And then once you've done it for the same amount of time you've done phase 2, you could go back and do it again if you wanted to. And I did it about 3 or 4 times and got down from 86.2 kilos down to 65 in the space of about 3 months. So, which was just, and I looked absolutely disgusting. But I thought I felt good because I had lost all that weight. So I put the value on the weight loss rather than I didn't care how I felt as long as I was skinny.
Yeah.
That was horrendous. And then I don't know, I sort of felt like that was the wrong way to go about it. Obviously, I thought I'd hit rock bottom then, but then I decided to, well, let's try getting a bit of fitness, like doing some walking and some like exercise and that, and I'll change my plan a wee bit. So I found this other program online, which was like a meal plan. So they gave you a meal plan and they gave you exercises that you had to do for the week. So I'd just come out of doing this like pretty much starvation thing and gone straight into doing exercise and that. And I did a 12-week plan, so it was like 1,200 calories a day, and it was rice and broccoli and spinach and chicken, and there was more real food than what I previously had. So I thought, oh yeah, sweet, I'm eating 1,200 calories, and it was so much more variety. So I was like, yes, this is going to work. This is what I need to do to make me feel better. And then it was 40 minutes of cardio in the morning, but it wasn't high intensity. It was just going for a walk or biking or just getting heart rate up. But it was fasted, or you could take, you could have a black coffee beforehand, which now I know is not good. And then, so you do that, and then you'd have breakfast or whatever, and you'd have your sort of, I think it was 3 main meals plus 2 snacks per day. And it was like a snack with 10 almonds. Like, it wasn't like it was a lot of food. And we drank between sort of 2 and 5 litres of water a day. Yeah, I was paying like a racehorse all the time. Every 20, 30 minutes I was off to the toilet. And then, so I did that. What was that? So that was 40 minutes in the morning, and then in the afternoon you had to do 20 minutes as well. And then it started off being 3 weight training sessions. So I did an at-home one to begin with, and then later on I ended up going to the gym and doing a gym one as well, which then increased it to 5. I think it was 5 days a week at the gym, plus that 40 minutes in the morning and 20 minutes in the afternoon with 1 rest day in there. So that I managed to do that for about 14 or 16 weeks. And by this stage I was engaged, so we were starting the wedding preparations. So that was from about April last year through till sort of end of August. I was in the process of doing that. And then me and my mum went down to Invercargill and to get my wedding dress, because the lady had ordered it specially in for me. I found it online and that was what I wanted. So I went down, tried it on, and on the way home I didn't feel happy. I didn't feel excited. I just kind of, that was sort of when I started going downhill. So I was on this high from exercising and thinking, right, but I got to that point, I put this dress on, and I knew it was the dress I wanted, but I didn't feel like amazing in it, and I felt just, really deflated for some reason. So on the way home, I just, drove home and got home, bawled my eyes out. It was meant to be one of the, second happiest day. I was getting my wedding dress, and I just got home and cried, and I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I was just so lost. It was unreal. So that's when I started actually, your post, your ad came up. So I started looking at you, and then it said about the liver and all that. So I thought, I'll start implementing some of those things while still trying to do the program I was doing. And then it was sort of kind of like, well, you're not following it, because I started gaining weight. And it's like, you've got to stick to your macros, or stick to your food plan. You've got to eat this. You're obviously not doing it. So I kind of was just like, stuff it. I just stop it. And then all of a sudden my body just crashed and just everything stopped, and I ended up getting this horrendous pain across my abdomen and just got like chronic fatigue. Like, I couldn't even get out of bed in the mornings. I was going to work, but as soon as I was coming home I was getting straight in bed. I was just absolutely shattered, and went to the doctors and got some blood tests done, and my ALT levels and what's the other one? What the other one is, but my liver enzymes were way up, and so I had ultrasounds done, and they couldn't find a reason why my liver was saying that it had all this inflammation in it. I had nothing actually physically wrong with it, And I think my body just got to that point, it was so stressed that it went, nah, not dealing with anything now. So it literally shut me down for about 2 or 3 months. But in that time, I started to sort of eat the foods that you were suggesting. And I managed to gain like 9 kilos in like 2.5 months. And I was like, holy shit. So then, of course, November came around and I went and tried my wedding dress on and we couldn't do it up. And I was like, oh my God, I've just spent all this money on this bloody dress and I'm not going to be able to even wear it, because this by this stage was only like 3 months out from the wedding. And I sat there and I just kind of went through a list and went all the pros and the cons. So if I do this program, like, where am I going to be in 3 months' time? Because for me, that was my goal, because I needed to get into that dress in 3 months' time. And then on the other hand, it was like, well, if I don't do this, the only other option is I go back and do these starvation diets. And I had to decide, do I want to be happy on my wedding day, that I can actually feel comfortable in my skin and enjoy the day for what it's going to be? Or do I do a starvation diet and then suck in all day, because I'll be bloated probably as hell anyway, eating all the bloody green veggies and shit. And like, and I knew for a fact that if I didn't do the Win It Life program, I was going to be miserable on my wedding day. That I don't even know if we would have got to that point, because my partner was just getting so, not like, he wasn't upset with me, but he was just, it was hurting him, because he could see what I was doing to myself. And it had sort of got to that point that it was just like, you need to sort your shit out, because if you don't, like, I would have just lost it completely. I would have probably just cried for the next 3 months straight, and I probably wouldn't have got into my dress, and I wouldn't have enjoyed the day. So I sort of just made the call right then and there, stuff it, I'm doing it. And I actually signed up for the, what is it, the 28 day? The
28-day challenge. Yeah.
And I hadn't done the exercise part of it, but I started implementing the foods in that. And I think I was up to about day 15 when I did finally signed up for the Win It Life program. And I'd already lost, in that 15 days, I'd already lost like 2.5 kilos. And it was just from eating exactly what was on the list and removing all my trigger foods and that. And then, so within the first sort of month of actually doing it, I dropped 5.5 kilos. And so on my wedding day, I was still 3 kilos heavier than when I tried my dress on. It was because we got married in March. And so I did the Win It Life program for those 3 months leading up. So I was still 3 kilos heavier, but the dress actually fit me better. So
body recomposition.
Yeah.
Isn't it great? More muscle, less fat.
Yeah. And so I lost in that first 3 months, I lost like 26 centimeters off my body. And that was eating far more food than what I ever had previously. So I started off on about 1,800 calories. And like, for me, it was just a struggle to actually get that amount of food in, because I wasn't eating that amount prior. So it's just unreal to think that I lost all that weight and I actually fit the dress better being heavier than I was when I originally tried it on.
It's crazy, eh? It's crazy. Yeah. And so what, but apart, obviously it's so awesome, all the, like, you physically look better and you lost that weight. Let's talk about the other stuff, because I think it's quite incredible what you've achieved, in terms of your health benefits that you've, that have been a result of eating the more food. And because you're pretty fucked when you came in. Yeah. You're pretty fucked up.
And I am still pretty fucked.
But you're getting better.
I'm getting better. And I'm now like, even I noticed in that first 3 months, if I wasn't eating, I would have been so stressed. Like, I was actually able to plan a wedding. Like, my mum helped me, but I pretty much did everything myself. And I wasn't that stressed. Like, on the day, I was so relaxed. And had I not been eating the way that I had, I would have been an absolute wreck. Like, it would have been horrible. I wouldn't have been sleeping, but my sleep's improved. It was quite funny, because initially it improved quite a bit. So my sleep got really, really good. My digestion was really good to begin with. My skin improved straight away. My nails are so strong now. Like, they're unreal. Like, I can actually grow my nails. I never used to be able to grow my nails. They just snap off. But it was quite funny, because I got all this improvement to begin with, and then all of a sudden I did what I always do when I'm starting to feel good and I overdo it. I chucked a heap of more stress back in there, and all of those subjective measures actually went back down. And then I had to really pull back and go, okay, need to increase food, lower the amount of exercise I was doing. So I reduced my days that in the gym, and all of those subjective measures started coming up again. So my body, when I'm feeding it well and reducing the amount of stress that I had, everything's good. So digestion now, I think I've gone like 30 something days straight of going to the toilet, which is unreal for me because I used to go 10 days sometimes without going to the toilet. My moods are really easy. So like the house, if it's not spotless, it doesn't stress me anymore, whereas that used to be a major stress. Like if I wanted something done, I wanted it done right then and there, and if the kids or my partner didn't do it, it used to really wind me up and get me really upset, whereas now I'm just like, oh well, it doesn't matter. At work, I used to get really stressed and I'd take my work stress home with me. So like if something bad happened at work, or because I work in a bank, and so if I said something that maybe I thought about later on that wasn't quite the right thing to say, I would go over and over and over that conversation in my head about, well, I should have talked about this, or I should have said that, or I should have done this. Whereas now I just go, nah, and that's it. I leave it at work. I don't come home stressing about what has happened at work. I can really draw the line and not put energy into dumb stuff that really isn't going to bring me any benefit, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. I used to be like that too. Just your blood sugar's balanced now.
Yeah.
Stress hormones aren't constantly elevated. What about the Hashimoto's?
So I don't trust what the doctors are up to with it, because they don't really know. We're in not a massive town. We've got about 4,000 people, and it's quite a transient town for doctors. So they come and do their training for 3 or 6 months, and then they bugger off. So we don't have, I don't have a doctor that I see all the time because they're changing so often. So every time I do go in for my follow-up tests or anything, like they really have no clue what they're talking about when it comes to it. So now I sort of just base it, like they just keep coming back saying, oh, your test results are fine. But I sort of base it on how I'm feeling, whereas I'm not getting any of the symptoms of thyroid issues now, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because they were like, well, your thyroid isn't stuffed and it's functioning fine because all your levels are fine. But I was having all these symptoms. So I was having the terrible fatigue and the body aches, like all my joints were aching all the time. Everything wasn't working. I looked like crap, and they were just like, but your levels are fine. So you should be feeling fine. But now the levels are all fine still, but I feel amazing. So obviously something that I'm doing is, working.
It's working.
Yeah.
It's just incredible, isn't it? It's like, just, you've been amazing though. You've been really consistent and you've failed forward, and no one's perfect, but you've just chipped away. And I've had my ups and downs. Like it's funny because I notice a lot of the women do that. They sort of, when they're going through a wee patch that that something maybe isn't quite right, they sort of, you don't see them on the page for a couple of weeks, and then all of a sudden everyone comes back. And I did the same thing, and I had about a month in, I think it was June, that I got really sick, just the flu that was going around. And before that I tried to increase the amount of, like I was trying to get my 3 sessions in a week, and at that stage I think I was on about 1,950 calories. And I felt like shit. My sleep and everything had gone downhill again, so now up my calories. And then I think for like every 3 weeks I'd feel good for the first couple of weeks. And then all of a sudden that sort of 3rd week I'd start going downhill again. I'd start feeling a bit tired, and sleep would get affected, and digestion would be affected, and that. And then so we'd up my calories again, and then I'd go uphill again. Everything would improve, and my subjective measures all improved, my mood and energy, and that would improve. And then all of a sudden it would start going downhill again. And I've noticed in those times, as soon as I start feeling good, I try to increase my workload. So I try to do more, whether it's do more around the house, do more gardening, walk the dogs more. And as soon as I start doing that, my body just goes, we're not ready to do more yet. And it brings me down. So it's just telling me what it needs. Well, you've got a threshold, and a stress threshold. And everyone, I think the more you fucked yourself in the past, Like your threshold would be lower than mine.
Yeah.
You know, because I've obviously been doing this for 4 years now. I've done some good work to repair it. It's like, not to say that you can't ever get there, but it's like, I think you've just got to really listen to your body, and you've become good at that. So you know now, you're like, okay, I've reached that threshold. I can't keep pushing myself, or things are going to go pear-shaped, which is so awesome, I think.
And I think that's, for me, is probably the biggest thing I've taken out of this, because I've never, ever been able to do it. Like, I've never been able to pull back up. Literally, my body has had to stop me every single time. It's the thing that's actually said, we can't do this anymore. Whereas now I'm picking up on those, being able to pick up on those cues and go, okay, just pull it back a wee bit. Let's get a bit more, get a few more carbs in there for a week and see what improvement you get. And then once I start feeling a bit better, okay, slowly start reintroducing. But as soon as I get to that point that it's the sort of, it's like a seesaw, they start going down again, I just pull it back. Whereas I've never ever been able to do that. So for me, that's probably the biggest takeout that I've had so far, is that I can actually control how I feel now.
It's so good. And Brodie, like, obviously, you know, you were out of this program 9 months ago, and we have a lot of women who are thinking about joining, and there's some common concerns that they have, and I'm sure you probably would have had these too. So one is that they feel like that they don't have time to do this program. So like, you've got stepkids, you work full time. You know, what would your advice, or I guess what would your comment be to that if a woman was thinking, I just don't have time, I can't do this program?
Everyone's got time. The amount of people that I see commenting, that would be ones that if I said to them, you should try this, they go, oh, but I don't have time. You see them, they're on Facebook all the time. They're the first ones to comment on any post that I put up, or just people that they make themselves look busy. People are very good at making themselves look busy. So, and you've kind of just got to go, no, I need to do this for me, and just put aside that little bit of time, like I do on a Sunday, about 2-3 hours meal prep every Sunday. And now I've actually started dropping it down to once a fortnight, because I make enough for me that I can take my lunches to work every day, and I just freeze them and then just put them in the microwave when I get to work. And I do dinners as well, so that pretty much for 2 weeks straight I don't have to make lunches, and I don't have to do dinners. I do eat different to what the kids in that eat, but that's just my personal preference. But then I still will make their dinners when they're here. It's if you really want something, you're gonna make the time for it. It does. It really. I think I've got more time back, because, like, if you think a year ago, when I was freaking getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning to go for my morning walk before breakfast and before work, and then do my gym session in the afternoon, and then go for another walk in the afternoon, or get on the exercise ball. But I don't have to do any of that now. So that now leaves me with an extra 2 hours a day that I didn't have prior. So if it is someone that is exercising a lot, that says I don't have time to do this, they're actually going to save themselves time. And then if it's someone that isn't necessarily exercising now, it's only about an hour. I find an hour out of my day each, 3 times a week for the training, and 2, maybe 3 hours a week for meal prep.
Cool.
You do save time once you get good at it. It takes a bit of time.
I think you're right.
To train yourself.
Like anything, but once you nail it, you actually get time back. Now, what about, you're all the way over in New Zealand, and so many women are like, I just don't know if I can do an online program. How am I going to learn how to lift online? What about the support? You know, what would your comment be there?
Oh, it's far better, like, just the like training videos and that. If I got a personal training session with a trainer here in Balclutha, and I did that once a week, I'm going to be able to learn more from the videos you guys provide than him showing me once a week how to squat or lift or whatever. I find it easy. It's at the tip. It's in your hand, or it's on your computer. You can go back if you've got 5 minutes on your lunch break that you've got, or you've got free. Sitting there having your lunch. You can go back through your feedback that you've got from Jake or April, and sit there and actually take it in. No, I find it really easy. It's far easy. Like what it's once again though, it's learning. People are scared of learning new things, or they're scared of failing at something. But you just got to practice it. Like I work in banking, so we're always evolving. Like we've now got a smart ATM in store, so we're trying to teach people how to use that. And the pushbacks like, oh, but you're going to lose your job, or I don't want to do it, because they're always pushing back. But once they actually do it and realize, oh, it's actually not something to be scared about, then it's the fear's gone. It's just taking that fear out of learning something new.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And then you just got to fail forward, and the more you do it, you're like, oh, it's not that hard.
But there's how many people to help you with it anyway? Like if you put you put it on
coaches,
Facebook,
10 coaches, 500 women, the big sisters.
Someone knows
crazy.
what to do.
Yeah. And finally, money. So, has this been worth the investment?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I posted at the start, about 3 months into the program, I did that post and calculated how much I spent in the previous 9 months to signing up to Win It Life. And I had spent $3,500 on like pills and potions and training plans and gym memberships that I didn't use, and fitness equipment and doctor's visits, specialist visits. If I'm spending $3,500 on crap that doesn't work, this is something that works that's far cheaper. That I haven't had half the doctor's visits just alone. So you're thinking $50 a doctor's visit plus going to the specialist on top of it if you've got any chronic illnesses. I'm not having to do that now because I'm not having the illnesses that I was having before due to not eating.
Would you say this program's been life-changing?
I said to my partner, I just about reckon I would have ended up in the mental institution in Dunedin if I hadn't done it. Like this has literally changed, so I'm going to cry. It has literally changed my life, and I'm just sick of being what I was, and now I just feel like a new person completely. And I actually enjoy getting up in the morning. I'm not lying in bed going, I really don't want to get up today. I don't want to face the world. Now I jump out of bed and I'm just like, cool, what do we got on today? And it's just, amazing. Yeah. And I think like for me, like my mum probably has noticed it the most out of everyone, because the amount of stress I put her through over the years, it's almost like she's probably just about having a sigh of relief that she's no longer going to have to put up with the highs and lows and all the shit that I did to myself that potentially, if I continued, it probably would have killed me.
Yeah, wow. Oh, yeah. Crazy. Oh, and finally, if a woman was sitting on the fence, what advice would you give to her? Just
do it.
Yeah.
Just give yourself 3 months. Sign up, give yourself 3 months and see what you can achieve in 3 months with the support that you guys have to offer. If you want it bad enough, you're going to do it. And if you are really not enjoying your life as it is, you've got no other option. Like there's nothing else out there like this. You just got to do it.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to do this. I really appreciate it. And if you're a woman and you're watching this and you're ready to, I guess, take the plunge and you want to have a chat about the program, just click on the link below. You can book in a free consult with one of my coaches, and we can go from there. So thanks again, Brodie. I really, really appreciate it. And I'm excited to see your progress in the next 9 months.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Kitty.
Thanks so much. Bye.